think of you. Those days are gone. I wonder if you still think of me too. I still think of you.
The way that you make me feel like I've never been felt before. When look in your eyes, I found the one I've been waiting for. I'm feeling electric. Our love is electric. The way that you make me feel like I've never been felt before. I'm feeling electric. Look in your eyes, I found the one I've been waiting for. I'm feeling electric. to see your shadow on the wall, like I'm living in hell. Touchdown in a new place, try to escape your poison, and I hate that I miss a mistake. I'm tired of your ghost, but I don't wanna run away. I can't believe I fell for all of it and it was a show. I know it's toxic, but it just don't feel right letting you go. But you play a game, I can't escape. I'm caught up in the middle. You're running through my head, and all the things we said. I wish I could forget you.
Go on, get it! Pentakill for Sun Prodigy!
I was forged for this, I rise in flame. Top of the mountain in my veins, got to make with nothing.
Skies to the grave! Quadra kill, but so was! The Spirit of the Nine wins! And still alive! Who is the first to fall? It is Card Effect's First Blood!
The X connects onto the Hades. Down he goes. On, able to take down 2, able to take down 3. Adding them up, keeping them there, and it's a pentakill.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to OSL Olympus Smite League. And we're here to watch the Athens Division Food Fighters take on Djungelskogs. My name's Morty, and I'm joined here by Red Rosie Panda behind the scenes, and next to me here in the booth, none other than Spirited Book. What is up, big dog?
How's it going, Mort? You know, some people say that there's a little bit too much Mort in their lives, but personally, I'm a big fan of having a bit of Mort in my life 2 days in a row. So I'm doing fantastic, Mort. How are you?
Life is good. This is my third day on Smite Game. Friday, AGL.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday, Smite Prime. Today, OSL. Smite Game cannot get enough of me. And, well, enough about me, right? We're here to talk about the game. We've got some rosters to look at here before picks and bans start making their way through. John Rowing is absent for today, which is unfortunate because I like watching John Rowing. He's a fun solo to watch. Say what you want about skill level. This guy's just an overall fun guy, the daredevil of solo lane, right? But MTR is going to be hopping up from, is it Sparta Division, right?
Yep, from Sparta, and as the ADC of their roster over there on the Food Fighters. So role swapping and going over up a division, which is going to be interesting here for MTR, who has to play up against Timer. It's honestly a matchup I feel like MTR could kind of keep his own in. Obviously, Sunprod, a very pivotal part of this Food Fighters roster. We hype on him all the time on no matter what production we're running, whether it's OSL, Smite Prime, AGL. We're always talking about Sunprod. So Sunprod is going to have to lean on maybe his dual lane a lot more this game, but when you have players like Kaveka on your team already, that is a lane you know you can lean on pretty heavily.
I think it's interesting you bring up Sunprod because, like I said earlier, I've been on Smite Game 3 days in a row. Sunprod has been on Smite Game 3 days in a row. I watched Sunprod play on Friday. Sunprod played yesterday in the Smite Prime tournament, made it all the way to the finals, and ended up beating Clocked In. So riding off of that high, Sunprod teamed with his friends and beat the team to beat in Smite Prime. Let's take that momentum into today and take down Djungelskogs 2-0. That's got to be the move, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, you gotta be feeling really comfortable here going into just your casual Sunday OSL game. You know, yeah, it's competitive, sure, but a lot of these players do kind of see this a lot more for fun, you know, playing with some of your friends that you've drafted here. And this is probably a very chill team. I mean, Hostile Puppy and Kvika are very kind of chill players, and they're here to have fun. Yeah, they're here to win, but more importantly, they are here to have fun. And I feel like Sunprod in the past has always done well on rosters that are there to have fun, but also to go be there to win. And that's why he's got so many bolts here in Olympus.
Vibes are high, and we're going to have fun winning. That's the move for Food Fighters. Bands have made their way through, and our first pick for Food Fighters is this Kali, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little surprised that we're seeing Kali first overall. Kvika is an interesting ADC player, and I feel like that's got to be where it's leaning towards with a lot of these picks off the table. I mean, could flex to Sunprod, and so that's why it's maybe first overall. I feel like I've seen Sunprod play it a couple more times as of late, but to see it locked first overall, it doesn't give us a lot on where exactly it's going just yet. I feel like this could be an ADC jungle flex, and either of these two players can take it where to their respective roles. And I think that's going to depend on what we see Djungelskogs decide to go towards in their composition.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't really see Sunprod play Kali that much, but I also don't see Kvika play Kali that much either. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of throwing a curveball here. If it maybe lined up with one of their, more consistent God pools, and okay, I think I'd know what to predict, but this is a curveball either way you look at it. But Pele and Thor, those are not curveball. Pele's aspect of Obsidian makes her extremely tanky and has been an absolute menace throughout solo lane. We saw her all day yesterday on Smite Prime, and Thor in the jungle with aspect of Thunderstruck makes him a very much so bull in a china cabinet, because you've got extra crowd control with your basic attacks, Warrior 3. I mean, there's just so much to do with this just two god combo here. You've got so much pressure that you need to worry about if you're a backline member of Food Fighters. Merlin and Nija might be able to handle them though.
Yeah, I like what Djungelskogs have drafted in their top two, because I feel like you don't entirely know your matchups just yet. These are both characters that can flex to jungle and solo. We've seen Pele jungle in the past. We do see her a lot more in solo lane, obviously, right now with that aspect. And we do see Thor more often than not in the jungle right now, because his aspect just isn't as strong. And even so, if you go aspect, it still works in the jungle, like we saw Lairs do the other day on Smite Prime. To me, though, this is just a lot of flex potential, and it gives Skogs a couple of options of, okay, what are Food Fighters going to be drafting in the solo lane, in the jungle, and how do we decide to match that?
As Morgan Le Fay and Anher joined the battle for Djungelskogs, one thing we talked about quite a bit yesterday was this Nija pick, and with the aspect of Righteous Flame, it makes her really good as far as being a frontliner goes. You've got incredible setup, but the thing is, Food Fighters need follow-up for the setup. I mean, one puzzle piece completes the puzzle, but right now you have the setup. Where's the follow? Where's the Medusa Petrify, the Poseidon Kraken, the Scylla I'm a Monster, something like that, big burst to follow through. But instead, we're following up with Osiris and Owillick. So that means Kali's going to be in the carry role. Nija support is what I'm assuming, right? So we've got a pretty solid team comp over here for Food Fighters. Wondering what the strengths and weaknesses are.
I mean, I like the Merlin Nija combo. You can kind of make it work. It's not the best burst. It's not that raw ultimate or that Scylla ultimate that we like to ask for, but Merlin Arcane stance, when you throw out that one ability, that will start to just shred members as long as they're standing in it initially, and then they get ulted by Nija. They will still take that tick damage as they get sent into the sky. So that is an old classic combo that we used to see quite a bit of. But I do agree. I still worry a little bit about this pick, and I feel like we've been really critical about it in the support role as of late, where you just don't have that follow-up to follow up off of the Nija ultimates when they get dropped down from the sky. And if you don't have it this game, again, I'm a little bit worried about Food Fighters and their kind of pick potential that you want to be playing for with a character like Nija in the support role. That being said, Food Fighters have now doubled down on their pick style of play, where they've gone for a Wheelix on Sunprod, and they will be going for this very pick style identity play where they are looking to CC lock someone down in place, whether it's the Wheelix pull, Nija ultimate, and then following up damage wise with the Kali Merlin. I like this idea, but I like Skog's draft just a little bit more here. My one issue I have is the Tsukiyomi stands a little bit out of place to me, because you want to be all in diving and you have the Thor Pele to do that, but Morgan Le Fay isn't the best dive character. She's more of a anti-dive character, right? She wants to be peeling for herself, similar to Anher, where Anher can dive, but Also, he's pretty safe and can peel for himself with the pushback, the pillars. So there's a weird identity going on here for the Skogs, a little bit of a disconnect between most of their members and their mid laner here.
I was thinking the exact same thing for that reason, and think about how Tsukiyomi is going to force you to go Aegis. You cannot beads out of the Tsukiyomi ult, that's just fact. But you can Aegis away from it and negate any of the damage that it would deal. So if you're picking a god that would force away the Aegis relic, okay, I would want to follow up with somebody who could force beads. So maybe Hecate instead of Morgan Le Fay, or maybe Ares instead of whoever their support is, because that comp is so a little confused. Okay, yeah, Thor. Whoever, somebody to force away beads in one way or another, or even a Phantom Shell through Yamoja or Kabrakan, something like that. Force another relic through a specific god. I think that would be a little bit smarter, but I still think there's a lot of damage capability. Maybe not, doesn't slot perfectly into the deep dive, but there's a lot to love with Tsukiyomi in general as a god. You've got crowd control, you've got the disarm, which will surely hurt Kali or Willix, and we'll see how much damage they can deal as we get into the game one. Right here, right now, Athens Division Food Fighters up against the Djungelskogs in a best of 3 later on in the season. My name's Morty. If you're just now joining us, we've got Red Rosie Panda behind the scenes and Spirited Book with me here in the booth. And now that we've got our aces in our places, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, you mentioned the Tsukiyomi, and I kind of agree. I actually would have liked to have seen a Hunbots here picked up for the Djungelskogs, because look across the way, there's not a lot of CC immunity in the alts. It's just Hostile Puppy and MTR that have CC immune ultimates. I feel like Hunbots could have gone crazy here for the Djungelskogs composition. Instead, Nog gonna go towards the Tsukiyomi, just more damage on top of all the damage they already have set up for themselves. I mean, you have an aggressive support for the Thor already. Tempo rocking that one, which is an interesting idea here. So a ton of dive already for the Djungelskogs to try and get to the back line and honestly just burst targets down.
Where I'm going to have a lot of my eyes on this matchup is going to be over in solo, now that MTR is going to be taking the place of John Rowing. Now, I'm thinking that, okay, Pele might be able to run at Osiris. Osai is very strong right now, but we're talking about Pele aspect, and it's just so prominent. I think that MTR is going to have to play a little bit farther back than what they might be used to. And if I'm correct, MTR is usually a carry player. So not only is this a division up from where you're used to playing, but this is also a brand new role for what you're used to being in competitively.
Yeah, I do like that Food Fighters have picked him the Osiris. Osiris is kind of can be a lane bully, but also one of those characters that can just, clear the wave pretty safely. He's gone for the Aegis as well, so very clearly playing towards just being a farming lane and trying to play safe as much as possible. I love what MTR has already gone for in terms of his relic and how he wants to play this early game. The Warriors X as well for just a little bit more sustain, not too worried about that clear. For me, it's about where Sunprod is going to be putting pressure on this map. Is he going to be helping out the super sub in MTR, or is he going to be putting more pressure in the dual lane to help out players he knows he can already trust? As we do see Hostile Puppy put a bit of aggression, but he gets walled.
Oh my god, a nasty Thor wall just put down Hostile Puppy. First blood for Tuba. I mean, can they go for another? Disperse forward, and the knockup force beads away from Kaveka. But can Kaveka escape? Looking to move their way through the jungle. Dodge around the corner, but another Thor wall lands. Tempo grabs the kill, but down goes Chang'e in mid lane. Sun Prod just got a kill, so eye for an eye, but Djungelskogs still up 1.
Yeah, Food Fighters do answer back in the mid lane, and this is what a Wheelix can do. Get active early around the mid lane, maybe make for plays on silence. You can already see Sunprod already hovering here to the right-hand side, trying to look for something else, and he knows he has to get this ball rolling early for his team. Don't allow the Food Fighters comp to just start snowballing, especially because the Wheelix will start to fall off. Yeah, the Wheelix numbers don't fall off. She has good damage as the game goes on, has the same level of knock up and to pull potential, play for that pick style in the late game. But in terms of a Wheelix raw damage and base numbers, they do fall off in the late game, especially compared to the Tsukiyomi, who wants an item or two. And if we see Nog go for the split scaling build that we're seeing a little bit more on Tsukiyomi as of late, where it's Transcendence, Book of Thoth, the Tsukiyomi will start to do big numbers in the late game.
Speaking of big numbers, Hostile Puppy's taking a lot of big damage. And the gank over here in solo, MTR is in trouble. 100 health to his name. Gonna have to heal up through the chalice, through the potions, and then take things back to base. Very close call over in solo, but no cigar, not just yet. no smoke to be had. We'll just have to play it safe for a moment. And it's not a surprise to see Sunprod over near solo side so early. He ended up not going for a gank, but at least showed
Oh,
face for a
hello.
moment. Went over to mid lane for a minute to take down Sean yet again. And another kill for Sunprod. And look where Prod is going, right over to those brands. Sunprod loves those firebrands, and for good reason. Maybe we go in for a kill before the brands get taken down, but at least we force away Djungelskogs, showing face saying, hey, these brands are mine, by the way. Don't come over here. They're going to walk over anyway. Look at Nog. Nog just showed up, threw the caltrops down. Couldn't tell if he really stole anything. The rocks looks like they all went to Sunprod and Paris, but maybe they got a little XP out of it, I guess.
The thing we've been seeing is there is some pressure here on the left-hand side. Skogs continuing to put pressure. Kaveka tries to find that ultimate there, but Hostile Puppy able to get away to safety. You can see Paris and Sunprod are on the way to the left-hand side.
Okay, going in for a purple buff invade, but Food Fighters were ready for it. You're not going to show up here and expect to get this buff, are you? No, we've got reinforcements. Windfire Wheels takes one up for a ride, but no, never mind.
No, he's out. Tempo is out. A successful purple buff invade as well there between the dual lane of Djungelskogs. So Food Fighters just not ready for, at the very least, they are able to steal away the enemy purple buff. So they kind of do match it out here in the dual lane. And that's what you want to do. But look at this. Nog on the right-hand side here, because of that rotation from Paris, means he'll steal away the red buff.
That's a great steal. Great map awareness, too. You see so many people over there. Let's go ahead and get something out of it, right? Make our way over, grab a red buff, and set Paris back just a little bit. That's a smart move as we make our way on over to the 5-minute mark just about. Gold Fury on the horizon can be taken down quite soon should Food Fighters be ready for it, but no opportunities have arisen just yet. No real lead just yet. It seems like Sunprod's out and about trying to start that snowball, but has only found a few opportunities. You know, looking to get active and find more, maybe over here in duo, but instead we'll settle on the neutral farm and then make our way around the map from there.
I like what these junglers have been doing so far to try and contest or look for advantages for these firebrands. We saw in mid lane, Sunbroad ganks Chang'e there in mid just for pressure onto the firebrands. So Chang'e can't rotate on over. At the same time, you saw Nog go to the right-hand side and try and put pressure onto MTR there with the help of Timer. Push out on the right-hand side so they have access to the firebrands first. But because they end up getting the kill in the mid lane, the likes of the Djungelskogs can't fully contest there on the firebrands and had to give those first rounds up. This time around, Paris not really in mid lane, Sunprod not really in a position to look for pressure in right or in mid, and so they can't contest it. And here in right, MTR getting ganked again.
Oh, nasty damage coming through. The caltrop slowed him down, and a lot more from Nog to get MTR down to 100 health, but able to rotate back and hide into the tower. Sunprod is here, but a little bit too late to the party. No buffs to steal, no kills to get. So instead, we'll roam around the jungle and see what kind of farm we can steal away from Djungelskogs. A little bit is better than nothing, right? And look at that. Scorpion Camp's ready to go.
Oh, has to be careful, though. He's getting collapsed on here by Timer, who's on the way.
Oh, Beads is forced out as Tuba takes Hostile Puppy down in duo lane. Sunprod, can he win the 2v1? Just took down Nog with ease and now rotating out on Suku with the speed buff. You're able to get out of there with ease, and I don't think Chang'e is even going to rotate over. Chang'e has died twice to Sunprod. Chang'e does not want a piece of that.
This game is getting a little difficult, though. It is a battle of Sunprod versus the Djungelskogs duo lane. Tempo and Tuba got another kill on a Hostile Puppy, who's now 0-2-0 on this Neja. And Neja, one of those characters you want to see get off to an early lead, you know, snowball off of early plays once they hit level 5. So far, falling behind. This is one of the issues that Neja really struggles with from the support role. Once they fall behind, they really start to become just a useless character on the map.
Yeah, you're very dependent on the snowball. And after that, you've got, what, Windfire Wheels, you hit an ult, you take somebody up for a ride, and then maybe some extra crowd control. But after that, you get bursted down so quickly. You're so reliant on the healing from the passive that you get with Neja's aspect. That's what makes you tanky, right, is the healing. But if you get bursted down so fast, I mean, you go from 100 to 0, there's no healing to be had. So that's just the unfortunate downfall from Neja's. Firebrands make their way up once more. Sunprod's over there in quick time, like rhythm, like clockwork, right?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with how Sunprod has evolved as a player. And we keep talking about this because, you know, he's the young up-and-coming talent here in the Smite comp scene for a hot minute now. And what does that kind of mean? Well, he's kind of gone from being a hold that as Hostile Puppy going in and looking for Chang'e.
But Beads utilized the self-dive. Oh no, Sunprod able to capitalize. Look at the damage that Sunprod's got. That Sworn Spear melted Shange's health bar, but look at Thor showing up. Tempo's here and hit a massive wall, and Paris are going to fight their way out of this, but Tuba showed up as well. Down goes Hostile Puppy on the left side. 2 dead for Food Fighter. Sunprod still alive, but doesn't feel confident diving into the 3v1, and I cannot blame Prod for that. Gonna have to give up the mid lane beacon, but continuing to walk forward. Gone, and Tuba really wants Sunprod. We need this shutdown, but it's not gonna happen today. Sunprod's out of there, and you lost a couple lives. That's just how it goes. Food Fighters gave up a little bit. Unfortunate transaction by the beacons, and the mid lane ritual will be going in favor of Djungelskogs. And that's just how it goes. Nothing that can't be come back from, but a bit of an early lead for Djungelskogs.
This is my issue, though, with the Awelix pick. Once you kind of commit all your damage onto one person, you kind of have to sit back and wait for the next fight, or sit back and let everyone else take over in the team fight. And this is the issue so far. You can see Sunprod gets the first kill and then has to kind of back up. The rest of the team gets hit by a 3-man Thor ult, by the way, there from Tempo. That was pretty sick, by the way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Food Fighters, they can't really stand and fight. A great rotation from Tuba as well into the mid lane to help back up their team. That's the lead from duo lane, transferring over to a big fight in the mid lane to make sure they get the Moonlight Ritual there. So a lovely play from the Djungelskogs. They put themselves in a pretty commanding position. But look at this gank here on the left. They're looking for Tuba.
Diving under the tower. This is bad news. Still under tower is Hostile Puppy, but Tuba turned it around with a Desert Fury and hit a nasty shutdown. Down goes Sunprod. Oh no, Sunprod is dead. A massive shutdown. Tuba's 4-0 and was shut down gold, but can Kaveka find revenge? Look who just showed up. It's gone. Going straight for Kaveka. Tempo. Oh no, look at the damage. Tuba's cranking out numbers, and with the help of Gone, a lot of shutdown gold and a bounty of their own. Tuba is on fire over here in duo.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so overforced there by Sunprod, diving that tower. As soon as Tuba's out and he just didn't have beads there, had his ult pulled, just walk away. There's no need to dive the tower that deep, and then you give away that shutdown. Kaveka feels he has to try and go in for that play, find Tuba to trade out at the very least, and isn't able to do it. 4 kills to this on her, and who's got that Devourer's Gauntlet online, sitting at around 50-ish stacks, I believe, and is already sitting in a really commanding position in this duo lane in terms of experience and gold. Tuba is happy to keep on swinging and keep on farming right now, because once he gets around 2 to 3 items, he's got 2 items already at the very least. He's working on that third. I believe an Odibo could be in the cards here for the on her, but gets that 3rd item online, he can really start to swing around objectives as well as team fights. And look at this Tempo here again.
Kaveka's in trouble, dispersed into the impale, and a pillar thrown over the wall to slow down Kaveka. Tuba wants this fight, and Tempo's around the corner with a nasty wall, stunned in place and locked down for good. Kaveka's dead. A 6-foot hole dug in the duo lane. Tuba is on fire still, and there's no extinguisher in sight. I mean, I don't know how we take down this monster hiding around the corner.
Tough.
Look at Sunprod and Puppy. Maybe they want this. Sunprod feels confident, but backs away. I think that's a smart play.
Yeah, I don't think they can afford to force this right now, especially with Gold Fury available. You give away one more member, and that's an easy Gold Fury pull for the Skogs. And this is, one of my critiques of Kaveka as a player is sometimes he just kind of, does he really think like, oh, I'm being aggressive here, I'm pressuring out Tuba, this is so good, this guy's terrible because I'm able to pressure out and on her, and I'm Kali, this is fantastic. And then he gets Thor ulted and he's dead because he's pushed too far up. So this is a tough one here. Kaveka has to kind of lock in a little more and really worry about where are the Thor ults. Yeah, I can go for 1v1s because I feel I'm a strong mechanical player, don't get me wrong, but making the smart plays, going for the farm. You're Kali, you will outscale this on her eventually. You just got to get there right now. And so far, Kaveka is just too far behind to really be impactful in this game just yet.
And I think it's also the matchup here, too. Speaking of matchup, look over here in solo. MTR's taking it to timer. Timer's down to half, and MTR's walking forward. Sunprod's around the corner. Onsuku jumps up and hit a massive knockup. Timer is dead. A great play from MTR to set things up, and Sunprod knocks him down. Over here in mid lane, ult forced out from Shange, who just passed away. Hostile Puppy gets the kill. Food Fighters just got 2 across the map, and a great way to get themselves back on the board.
Yeah, great plays across the map there, and Skogs not able to really look towards that Gold Fury at all. I mean, they're just not ready for that play from Sunprod on the right-hand side where he's ganking on a timer. There's no response to go towards the Gold Fury at all. You can already see Tua still farming left-hand side despite Kveka backing now. Nog is just sitting there on that purple buff, waiting for it to spawn. And look at this, Food Fighters on the way, trying to respond to this.
12 minutes in, make it 13, and Food Fighters are a little bit behind on goal, but not by much. It's a decent position that both teams are in, really. I mean, Djungelskogs have somewhat of an upper hand. Food Fighters have had control of the Firebrands for the most part, so I'd say it's dead even as far as stats go. Itemization might not reflect that 100%. Kveka in a bit of a rough spot, beats Force away. The pillar slows him down, diving in. Still is Nog, hits the ult, and under the tower goes Nog. Can they live through the tower? Barely, goodness gracious. And Puppy had to use Windfire Wheels to dash away. Showed up a little bit later than usual, but that's fine. Food Fighters will go for this Pyromancer and take this down scotch-free. Djungelskogs had no idea it was even happening, but they're going to go for Gold Fury in response. Hostile Puppy still around. No ult available, but a lot of confidence. No Sunder available either. You got a Phantom Shell and a Dream. 1,000 health. The Universe Ring is thrown through. Artillery Sash into the back line. Who's going to take it? It goes to Djungelskogs. Hostile Puppy, I mean, I respected A for effort, but you just didn't have a lot of help there. And Chang'e is going to capitalize, throw an ults out, do some damage. Hostile Puppies, A-okay.
I mean, Food Fighters, it looked like Sunprod wanted to go for a red buff invade on the other side, but wasn't able to find an angle. There were still some members in the area to contend against Sunprod's invade. So just unfortunate that Food Fighters aren't able to defend against that Gold Fury pull. At the very least, they do get themselves a Pyromancer, so some gold going towards their team, but still that first little gold lead is what we're starting to see on the side of the Djungelskogs. It's not much, but it's there. 1,400 just from that play, all in all. So it's not nothing, but it's something going the way of the Skogs. And it feels like this entire game so far, it really has been Sunprod versus the world. It feels like the Skogs are just winning in a lot of their lanes, except for maybe over in the mid lane where we see Chunga is 0-4. A lot of that is because of Sunprod paying a lot of attention to this mid lane, though.
And you know what? Also, I'd like to agree with you here about what's going on in mid and solo too. You got to keep in mind, MTR is kind of taking it to Timer right now.
Yeah.
Do you see Timer under tower? This is a shocker for me, but the damage you get from Golden Blade, Shield Splitter, Osai is just too much for a poor little Pele to handle. And you got Sunprod ganking over there multiple times, keeping eyes on Firebrands, so Timer can't get any brand rocks. And now the Queen Naga has just spawned 3 bodies from Food Fighters on top of it, beginning the burn. And Djungelskogs lurking in the shadows, maybe looking to dive their way in. Look who just showed up. Timer looking to invade, but who's going to take it away? Who gets the Queen Naga? Looks like it's going to Food Fighters. They got the secure. But in the mid lane, the beacon coming up here in just a moment. Look at Nog going into the back line looking for kills, but a great Aegis will follow things through. Phantom Shell to block the Thor wall, but look at the damage from Chang'e. Timer, Volcanic Rush forward, and Tuba's got damage as well. Oh my God, 3 dead bodies around Food Fighters jungle, so they might have gotten the Queen Naga, but it did come with the price. 3 lives was the consequence.
They'll also lose the Moonlight Ritual now as well. I mean, we saw Tuba backing to base and walking over towards that that Naga Queen, but just wasn't able to get there in time, as we do see Sunprod trying to wrap around the backhand side of this fight, look for something, but Kveka taking too much damage again, just has to pay a little more respect to the damage output of Djungelskogs. They got a ton of it on hand.
And I think it's just only so much you can do in Kveka's position right now. Not a lot of damage with Sunbeam and the Hasten Fatalis. You're able to move around in fights and try and avoid damage, but dealing damage on your own, not too great right now. It's a real rough position that Kveka is in. I think we need more farm. Here's the thing. We talk about the matchup over in duo, and you're playing on her if you're Tuba, right? You don't even need full build. You can get like 2-3 items and start cranking numbers as on her. If you're Cali, you're looking to get to late game. You don't have a lot of early game pressure. You need more itemization to start doing what Tuba can do in fights. And the fact that Kveka is set behind so far, I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse for somebody who's in Kveka's position. I mean, you got to farm up. You got to be careful. You got to play back towards tower and then wait for, late game, 20, 25 minutes. That's when we'll see more Kveka.
I mean, it's confusing to me as whole that Paris has to play defensively here. But Kaveka tries to rotate there at the tail end of that fight, but by then it's kind of all lost as Sunprod taking a 1v1.
Oh, with the backflip through, but the piercing moonlight, can this shut down Sunprod? No, it won't. Instead, Sunprod shuts down Nog. That was massive, but the Pyromancer going the way of Djungelskogs. They were pulling that in the meantime, and Food Fighters didn't have the means to steal that away. You don't have, I mean, you mentioned this in picks and bans. With Paris on this Merlin pick, you don't have a raw Hyper Beam. You don't have a Kraken from Poseidon. You've got decent burn, but not a lot of burst, so it's really not great for objective steal or secure, which means that Djungelskogs are going to have a decent time going for these objectives without somebody like Sunprod to shut them down before they can kill it. Look at the ult. Look at the ult. Tempo just showed up in dual lane, and Kaveka's in trouble once more. A Thor wall will lock them down. Tuba gets another kill. This is just getting worse and worse for Food Fighters. You've got a monster getting built up over here in dual lane.
Yeah, it's starting to get really tough here for the Food Fighters. They are just so far behind. It really has just been Sunprod getting kills across the map for the Food Fighters, and that's great because Sunprod is your carry player. But as the game goes on, you start to realize, well, we don't have leads anywhere else. We don't have advantages anywhere else. We're gonna struggle as the game goes on.
And going towards the mid lane, trying to make their way out of there. Hostile Puppy in a bit of trouble. Djungelskogs on the chase, but Hostile Puppy hiding under the tower. And Paris joining Hostile Puppy, playing back a little bit. Let Djungelskogs get what they want right now. But look at Sunprod, look at MTR cleaning up Nog in the jungle. And Djungelskogs said, what are you doing back there? What's going on in our back line? As an invade happens under the tier 1 tower in mid lane, but nothing fruitful comes of it. A great knockup from Sunprod, but not a lot of follow-up. That's fine. We'll settle for the tier 1 tower and then walk away from there.
Okay, so Food Fighters fighting back there, and it's off the back of NTR and Sunprod invading aggressively, hunting down Nog in his own jungle, and that's net Sunprod a small level lead here in the jungle at the very least, so something going the way of the Food Fighters. But look at this 4-man grouping here on the right-hand side around Fire Giant by the Skogs. I feel like that was an avenue for Food Fighters to pull the objective, but instead Skogs are the ones pulling the Fire Giant here.
Okay, I think it's a smart pull. I think they've got what it takes, but Food Fighters don't want to give it up for free. Kaveka's still over on left side. Djungelskogs have the numbers advantage. Food Fighters still don't want to give it up, though. The burn is going. It's about halfway on the FG. Hiding in the back line. Paris is throwing out damage, but a massive ult comes through. A massive ult comes through. Paris still throwing numbers out, and Food Fighters might be able to take this fight to him with a piercing moonlight into the back line. Forces Aegis away from Paris. Hostile Puppy goes down. Tuba gets the kill, and now Food Fighters on the retreat. They're down one member. Kaveka's just shown up, but what can Kaveka do? Sunprod hiding in the back line. Can't find a way in. Oh, Sunprod just found a way in. Down goes Tempo. Sunprod continuing to fight until they're dead. A shutdown goes to Tuba once more, but Tuba finally dies. A massive kill for Paris going into the back line. Look at Kaveka throwing out numbers, but Nog is going to clean him up, and a lonely Paris with no mana and no confidence is killed in blood. Down are 5 members of Food Fighters, and Djungelskogs might not have gotten the Fire Giant, but they got a lot of kills.
What an ult from MTR there to start out that fight for the Food Fighters. But when it all comes down to it, there's just no major follow-up off the back of it. Paris was off of cooldowns and it's just unfortunate there for the Food Fighters. Just no major follow-up. Kaveka wasn't there, showed up late to the party. Needed just a couple more autos there to get a full reset for his passive so he could have kept swinging. But all the while, Skogs, they're on the map first. They're looking to pull this Fire Giant yet again. Sunprod is on the way. Hostile Puppies here, so is MTR. No Sunders to try and steal, though. It's going to have to be a brute force objective steal.
The burn on the Fire Giant still going down. MTR in the front line, zoning away. Djungelskogs forced off of the burn for now. They didn't get it last time. They know they're not going to get it this time. We'll settle for the Constellation prize known as the Pyromancer. It's down to half health. It's burning quick time. Paris over the wall. Throws out some arcane abilities. Who's going to take it? Timer secures the Pyromancer. And Timer's going to pocket the Runic Bomb as well. I know Tuba is. That's 3 Runic Bombs on the side of Djungelskogs. Goodness.
Yeah, they got a good couple of bombs now that they can start to look towards pushing down lanes. Maybe just drop one in the mid lane here just to take down that tier 1 tower. Make things a little bit more unsafe for the Food Fighters in terms of map play. give them less of a place to fall back on should the Fire Giant siege go a little awry. But yeah, Food Fighters, they're just so far behind. They are starting to get their important items, though. Titan's Bane and Odibo completed here for Kaveka at the very least. So something going towards the 80 carry on the side of Food Fighters. But still just so far ahead for the Djungelskogs. A ton of stacks on this Devourer's Gauntlet for Tuba. Has Obo, Titan's Bane working towards that Blink active item now for the on her. Will start to be very impactful in fights as Food Fighters are trying to defend this tier 1 tower in mid and do so effectively while MTR is split pushing in right.
23 minutes into the game, 10-18. Djungelskogs in the lead, but only by 2k gold, less than that, which isn't much of an increase from where we saw this earlier, Book. I mean, I feel like they haven't done too much with this lead. Granted, they've gotten a couple gold furies. They got this tier 1 tower in mid, but it's just been kills, mindless kills. Look at the gravity surge from Sunprod. Oh my God, down goes Tuba. That's the green light. That's the go pedal for Food Fighters. Artillery sash forward, locks down one. Timer is dead. Sunprod gets another double kill for Sunprod. Food Fighters retreat back, and with 2 members of Djungelskogs dead, this Fire Giant sure does look nice.
Tuba jumps away and Sunprod blinks in to pull him back and force the beads and goes all in to find Tuba off that play. A big shutdown going away the Food Fighters, and now they're looking for the Fire Giant.
And they're going to be able to get it. Look at Djungelskogs trying to get something out of this. Nog is dead. Sunprod gets the kill. MTR and Hostile Puppy very low on the front line. Chang'e and Tempo still around. Tempo's lurking on the other side of the jungle, and Chang'e is right next to the Fire Giant pit. But Food Fighters on a wild goose chase to chase down Tempo, and Sunprod able to chase and get right up to him. Sunprod is locked down by the Thor wall, but not much farther. Can Tempo go? Down they go. Sunprod gets another kill. Fire Giant wasn't picked up yet again. Djungelskogs got them off the FG, but still more kills going the way of Food Fighters. This game is getting more and more even as we speak.
Yeah, Food Fighters are fighting back really well here so far. It's unfortunate there that MTR ends up falling way too low that they can't then re-pull the Fire Giant, but that's a big stall onto Tempo for now. 14 seconds on the Thor, but he will be back up sooner rather than later. So Food Fighters want the fire. They have to go right now.
And that's what they're gonna do. The burn begins. Kaveka's throwing out damage, and the rest of Food Fighters around the FG pit, zoning as the back line burns it away. It's down to half health. Djungelskogs waiting in the shadows, lurking and awaiting their opportunity. Tempo is not here. Wait, Tempo's in the air, but Food Fighters are going to drop the FG. They're going for a fight, but they realize there's no fight to be had. MTR gets melted in the front line in the process, so MTR can't zone anymore. Djungelskogs say, A-okay, we've got the numbers advantage if MTR is not around. Let's go for it. Let's go straight ahead. Hostile Puppy gets landed on by Tempo. Bad news for Hostile Puppy, but wait a minute. Food Fighters have damage in response. Kaveka just melts away Timer, and in the back line, Sunprod takes down Tuba. Tempo extremely low. Nog uses the Piercing Moonlight to go straight towards Hostile Puppy, but Artillery Sash locks Nog in place. Hostile Puppy gets the kill, and Tempo all alone in the back line. Kaveka goes in for the kill, and Chang'e Best goes back to base. It's best that you stay there. Food Fighters are getting this Fire Giant scotch-free.
Well done to the Food Fighters there. Paris with so much damage in such a small corridor on this Merlin turns that fight around as the Skogs try and commit everything onto Hostile Puppy, but that's the support. You can start to ignore him at this stage of the game. Let him kind of do what he wants just for a little bit. Your targets are ideally this Merlin, this Kali, even Sunprod on this Wheelix. Don't commit the Thor ult and everything behind it onto the lone Neja, because immediately damage is thrown in on top of whoever was targeting him. And so Food Fighters come away with the Fire Giant and likely this Gold Fury that's available to them as well.
I'll tell you what, John Rowing might not be here. It's hard to notice he's even gone. MTR has been playing just fine in this. Do you see what MTR has been doing? Zoning in the front line like nobody's business. Really utilizing this Osiris pick to its fullest potential, taking so much damage for the team and dealing quite a bit as well in the top half of the ladder as far as player damage goes. And with that help, now they're going to go straight towards Ancient Fury and take that down. Food Fighters are going to grab it. Djungelskogs don't feel comfortable sealing it away. There's no Constellation Prize, no Pyromancer for them to look at. Djungelskogs are just going to farm up on the right side of the map while Food Fighters have all 5 and press up on left.
Food Fighters, they should go now here because Skogs are pushed out on the right-hand side, not available to defend against this Phoenix. If Food Fighters go for it right now, they send everyone back to base, and so it will be 5-on-5 for the siege.
Djungelskogs just got back, and the bird's getting melted down. It just disappeared, but Tempo ults down, lands into the back line and stuns too, but Food Fighters ready for it. A Thor wall locks them in place, but not a lot of follow-up from Djungelskogs. They don't feel comfortable going into that because Food Fighters still have the FG belts around their waist, so Food Fighters walk away just fine. Djungelskogs gonna have to farm what they can.
The issue we brought up in the draft, I'll hold that. Skogs looking for a pick here, but they're not going to be able to find it. Instead, the Food Fighters get away with their lives intact. That was spooky for a moment, but the issue that I brought up in draft is what's kind of happening here for the Skogs. Everyone wants to play forward off of Tempo's ultimate, and Chang'e best can't. He's getting dove by the Osiris. He has to play a self-peel kind of style. It's really hard for this Morgan Le Fay to play forward and help with the engage on the side of the Skogs.
This is bad news for the Skogs. Left bird down, tier 2 and middle falling here. And look at where Food Fighters are going, back to Ancient Fury. They're going to take this down now because they didn't get it last time they were around here. Let's get it before the opportunity is gone. Utilize these FG belts as much as possible before it disappears. Djungelskogs can't say much about it. Food Fighters get another objective, and they are reigning supreme here at the 30-minute mark. 18-18 kill wise, but an 8K gold lead for Food Fighters. They're down on Gold Furies as far as the pips go, but they're high on confidence as FG will respawn shortly.
Yeah, that's a huge gold swing here favoring the Food Fighters off of one Fire Giant. They took a ton of towers, a ton of neutral farm just off the map away from Skogs, and suddenly it's a massive lead change in terms of gold. You can see the build starting to get rounded out here for the Food Fighters, and actually I believe that's an Aegis picked up here for Kaveka on the Kali rather than the Blink. You know, normally we see these ADCs go towards the Blink as their active active item here. You could see Tuba's got it in hand, and yeah, time lock Aegis. So Kaveka is going to be diving alongside Sunprod, popping that Aegis just to stay alive after getting out all that damage.
Right side tier 2 has just fallen. Mid lane bird is weakened, but Food Fighter is going to settle on the right side 1. Djungelskogs have all 5 ready to defend. Ultimates available, and hopes are high, but not much they can do for now. Fire Giant buffs are worn off here in a couple seconds, and Food Fighters now need to play back a little bit. You don't have these buffs, but you do have another Runic Bomb in pocket as they melt this one down. Djungelskogs are going to walk up to it, but I don't think they're going to get there in time.
No, they won't, and this is a nice play by Food Fighters. They push up and right just to force the Skogs to have to pull all 5 members back. Don't let anyone go off to the left-hand side to split push out that fire wave anymore. Make them respond to your potential siege, and then once you see 5 members, just say, okay, we didn't really want this bird anyways. We can back up. We'll go take the Pyromancer because the next Fire Giant's going to be up soon. And now we've stopped the Skogs from splitting the map and farming and pushing out that fire wave. This is a big advantage here for the Food Fighters going into this next Fire Giant siege in 20 seconds.
20 seconds before FG shows up. And if they wait just a moment, this Fire Giant will become enhanced. Maybe Food Fighters want to wait for that, or maybe they just burn it and rip it quick before Djungelskogs can go back and buy and get ready for the EFG fight. I don't know which one the smart move is, but Food Fighters getting vision, warding up, getting ready. That's a lot of wards. Goodness.
Yeah. I feel like vision control very important here for the Food Fighters. They need to know when tempo is in the sky for these fights here, because that's a big part of the Skogs and their initiation to really look for the backline. Tempo has been huge and has been hitting some impactful Thor ults. There's just not been enough follow-up behind them.
32 minutes, a minute away from EFG. Food Fighters zoning for now. MTR in the front line. Kaveka watching from afar as Djungelskogs look for any type of opportunity. They want to catch somebody out, but What can they do? Whoa. But while Food Fighters are zoning around FG, look
Love
at
this.
Sunprod. Sunprod's going up the left side. I think Tuba's aware, though. Tuba's hiding by the mid-side bird. No, Tuba doesn't have
Doesn't
a clue.
know.
And with the minions there, that left side bird is going to fall again. That's a lot of extra pressure. That's the go
Rocket
button for
backdoor.
Djungelskogs, though. They might take this 4v5, but can Food Fighters take them on? Into the air, Tempo goes. MTR goes straight into the back line. Paris is in trouble. Where is Tempo going to land? Goes down to find a stun a little bit off the mark. MTR still zoning in the front line. Hostile Puppy walks forward as well. And Djungelskogs are taking a lot. But wait, Sunprod is backdooring. Can he do this? It's down to 1,000. Sunprod has just ended the game. A huge play from Sun Prodigy. Game 1 goes to Food Fighters.
I mean, Food Fighters, they found the right play. Sunprod found the right angle. He knows, guys, we don't need to take a full 5-on-5. Just sit around this fire giant. They have to either respond with someone in left, and if they don't, if they have all 5 members here around the fire giant, I'll just end the game. What a great play by Sunprod at the end of the day, and what a good game from him in general. A big part of how they got through that early mid game, that rough period where the dual lane, in all honesty, was just running it down for a little period of time at the very beginning. Hostile Puppy was 0-2. Kaveka was 0-1 at one point. Want to give a big shout outs to Paris as well. Not the prettiest of score lines, 1 and 3 in terms of kills to death, but 13 assists. Paris and Sunprod working so well together in the mid 2v2 to find multiple picks onto this Morgan Le Fay in the early game.
Way to capitalize. That was beautiful gameplay there. And to think, I mean, that was just high level thinking at its finest. You see the minion wave, you see a weakened bird. Sunprod says, I'm hopping on Suku, I'm going straight over, I'm getting this game over with. Y'all keep him here, right? If nobody can back, then that's easy for Sunprod, and that's exactly how it went down. But good news, those of you who enjoyed the game, we've got more because this is a best of 3, and they've only won game 1. So can Djungelskogs bring it back and take us to game 3, or will Food Fighters sweep the set? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OSL Olympus Smite League. We're here to watch the Athens division's finest take Djungelskogs on with Food Fighters. We just watched game 1, now we're here to watch game 2, coming at you right here, right now. My name is Morty, joined here by Red Rosie Panda behind the scenes, and next to me here in the booth is none other than Spirited Book. How we feeling, big dog?
Feeling good because the GOAT himself, or especially your GOAT, I guess, John Rowing, is back playing for the Food Fighters. MTR out, though. Shoutouts to MTR. I mean, what a great game for him over in the solo lane for the Food Fighters. The super sub coming in clutch for this roster. They didn't have to FF, even drop a game. Just bringing up the Sparta ADC from Food Fighters to sub for their roster. And now John Rowing is back, and that's got to be pretty tough here if you're the Skogs. I mean, they kind of struggled against not fully complete Food Fighters. They did well in the early game. And I do feel like Skogs need to be looking towards their dueling to have another successful early game. Maybe just finding something that can transfer a little bit better into that mid to late game to be a little more successful.
Well, one thing that Djungelskogs won't have to worry about is the Osiris again, because vault bans are in place. For those of you that are new around here, all 10 guys that you see on screen, a little bit below me and the beautiful Spirited Book's face, those are vault bans. All of those guys were played in game 1, but they cannot be played in game 2 or game 3. So those 10 guys, along with the 6 that are being banned in the bottom left and right corners, will not be played. 16 gods unavailable to pick from. So we're going to be scraping god pools just a tad bit as Newt, Daji, and Geb are banned away. Not my Geb, come on.
I do want to give a quick note that the Morgan is obviously Morgan Le Fay. It's just, you know, Morgan Le Fay, the clone, right? She obviously copied Morgan Le Fay.
Right.
That's why she's banned. Yeah, obviously. No, I think these are fine bans. Geb, I mean, very strong ADC pick right now. Probably not the best in support. Sorry, Mort. But just a great ban away here from the Skogs, taking that one away. I would like to see Skogs go for a similar style, maybe in their dual lane, something aggressive. We've seen Tuba, I believe, go towards that Cernos the other day in Smite Prime and found huge success on that pick. Going towards a strong scaling build with the Devourer's Gauntlet, kind of tried to do a similar style this game, but I think going towards full auto attack really kind of made him struggle a little more. Maybe lean on a bit of crit in the build so you can kind of 1v1 some ADCs or whoever's trying to dive you, specifically Sunprod, because you know that guy is hunting you in the jungle.
Ardio is going to be the first pick over for Djungelskogs. Probably going towards solo. I think there's a lot to love about the Ardio solo. You're very safe, right? Will you win lane? Maybe. I mean, it's a gamble, right? 50-50. Will you lose lane? Probably not. You're not getting ganked. That's the thing. We're worried about Sunprod snowballing off of solo lane again. It's not going to happen. It's not. Because Ardio can, hey, have a root. You've got a stun. You've got this and that. You've got healing. And you've got the bear dash. Roo. I go back to tower in like 2 seconds. It's A-okay. Something I see what you like over there, Book.
It's a pretty good first 2 here for the Food Fighters. Cerberus is a pick we've been seeing a lot as of late over in the support role. Paired alongside, who in my opinion is just the best ADC in the game right now. It's Jingwei. She's the one ADC that really utilizes crit very well right now. Kind of one of the only ADCs that makes it work, and other ADCs try to make it work because there's a Jingwei on the other side. So a fantastic top 2 from the Food Fighters, and Djungelskogs are doing something interesting. They're trying to match the pressure that Cerberus brings to the lane and going for Ymir Neath. That's a lot of early pressure, but my concern is that gonna be enough damage as the game goes on here, especially if this is a Neath ADC? Could flex into the mid lane, I would imagine, as we see Neath go a little more towards the Int build since not being as prevalent in the ADC role as of late.
Yeah, it's definitely 50-50, and I feel like Kaveka is one of the main players behind that Neath carry build aspect of Wind. You get Transcendence, you juggle your passive, and you have more attack speed and damage than a decent amount of carries, but with Kaveka already getting Jingwei, we have no idea. I mean, surely this isn't a counter pick because they've already got their carry. So this could be in mid lane or it could be in carry. I feel like Tuba or Chang'e could both play this pretty well. We'll have to see as we get farther down the board. But Hu Yi, Sunprod taking the Hu Yi back into the jungle for the second day in a row. Oh man, this is gonna be a good game.
Yeah, we saw some prod pull off some crazy plays the other day in Smite Prime on this pick. I expect him to do something similar this time around, but I love this option here for Gon or Nog over in the jungle here. The Hun bots, again, the Hui doesn't have a CC immune ultimate, sure, but everyone else on the other side does have a CC immune ultimate. Again, I come back to, I would have liked to have seen this Hun bots last game, and now it's going to be in this game where there is a ton of CC immune ults across the way. They can just kind of avoid the fear no evil, but at the very least there's a ton of dive here on the side of the Skogs. You're not really worried about what happened last time where your mid laner couldn't impact the fight, because now that Apollo's locked in, that is going to be Neath in the mid lane for Chunga best, and then Apollo in the ADC role. That is a ton of dive here for the Skogs overall.
And Achilles to finish out the draft. I can't believe Achilles went last. Okay, so Achilles for John Rowing. That's going to be a fun pick. Solo is going to be pretty interesting, right? But the root from Artio does stop combat dodge. I think John Rowing is going to have a hard time, but not an impossible time. We've already talked about how safe the Artio pick is. So Solo, you know, I like watching John Rowing, but it might be a bit of a snooze fest for a while until Sunprod can figure out how to get something going over there. Mid lane will be fun to watch because, I mean, we got Neath over there, a safe pick, but very effective nonetheless. When you're in the middle, here's the thing that I like about having Neath in mid. You have that World Weaver ult, right? That's global. You can send it anywhere. But when you've got Neath in the dual lane and you want to hit somebody over in solo, you've got to send it all the way across the map. It's going to take like 10 seconds to get there, and the fight's probably over by that point. But if you don't have to send it all the way across the map, you're in mid, so you just have to send it like halfway across the map. Couple seconds, boom, couple seconds there. You're able to utilize that ult so much more quickly, and you've got higher damage on it too because you're building intelligence. So I really like the impact that Chang'e can have on this game. Let's work with Nog. Let's get Nog fed. I'll help you out. I'll throw you a couple arrows here and there, give you a stun, something to work off of. I mean, the early game potential for Djungelskogs looks pretty nice, along with Ymir, who's got a lot of damage through Frostbite, and Hunbats, who can set things up as soon as Fear No Evil's online. There's a lot to love about the early game Djungelskogs. We'll see who's got the early game pressure as we get into game here, right now, coming at you live on Smite Game. My name's Morty. If you're just now joining us, we've got Red Rosie Panda behind the scenes. We've got Spirited Book with me here in the booth, and we've got the Athens division. Djungelskogs up against Food Fighters, game 2 of the set. And look at this 5-man invade over here on the right.
Yeah, I like this idea here, especially because Skogs, they want to be off to an early start. You mentioned it, the early pressure in general, and it should be all Skogs. You have Ymir, Apollo. That's a very strong, scrappy lane, and a lane that can get really active in the 2v2. As well as just good kill pressure in general. And then Chang'e best on this Neath should have the early mid pressure. I mean, this is one of the OG ideas of Smite, was if you want mid pressure, pick a hunter in the mid lane. And now in Smite 2, yeah, you can lean a little more towards the int style of play, and your abilities will just hit that much harder. And you could play this Neath like a mage, but still she'll have the early priority here, especially over at Discordia in that Paris is piloting. I feel like Discordia is in a very interesting spot where she does very well in the mid game and then scaling pretty decently well as well. But this early game is where she struggles the most. Just no priority in the lane whatsoever. Really struggles to clear the lane until they get a couple of points into their 1 and even a couple of points in their 2 at times. Just a very difficult lane to get through. And that does put some junglers in an interesting position where they won't always have that priority in that lane, especially because Firebrands have been so important for junglers right now in Smite 2 that you just need mid pressure, you need solo pressure to be able to get yourselves into a position to play for those objectives.
Interesting relic pickup for tempo there. Did you see the little hop from Ymir? That's an agility relic Ymir. As the Frost Breath lands and a couple basics to follow through. A great knock up off the dash, and Tuba's able to get first blood. Down goes Hostile Puppy, taken up for a ride, and one basic would have killed Kaveka, but that's a-okay. You still got first blood on Hostile Puppy. I'm still happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge first blood here. I mean, that's exactly what we saw happen last game, where Skogs got off to an early lead because they had good pressure in this lane, a good 2v2. And yet again, Tempo and Tuba doing a great job punishing a Hostile Puppy for being a pressure pick, sure, but just not as strong as Ymir Apollo, right? Like, these two just have so much damage at this stage. A nice look from Sunprod, though, not allowing the Skogs dual lane to snowball anymore and invading those back harpies.
It's great play by Djungelskogs duo lane. And Sunprod might be able to show up over there and help further that lead, or Nog will show up and maybe set them back a notch. As we'll figure out how things are going in a little while. Firebrand's on the agenda for Sun Prodigy, hovering around this right side of the map, grabbing a couple camps before making their way over there. We've still got a little bit of time before they spawn. Let's look at relic choices, though. The agility relic for sure, we mentioned from Ymir, but a blink from Nog. I mean, we really want to get active.
Yeah, I mean, makes the most sense. We saw last game how Sunprod made such an impact across the map in general, especially in mid, as Nog wants to do exactly that this time around once they hit level 5. Yeah, doesn't or has gone for the aspect, so can kind of make these engage plays where they're blinking in as they're popping the overhead smash and looking for a big stun onto a backliner. And that could be a great go button here for the likes of the Djungelskogs. They do exactly that in the mid lane.
2-on-2, a great stun, but what can we do from there? Golden Apple lands, good damage put on to Nog, who's got to jump back under the tower. Good damage comes through from Food Fighters, but no kill found just yet. At least it's enough pressure to keep them further back, so Firebrands are free for Food Fighters.
Yeah, I mean, Skogs just not really playing for this Firebrand timer. They look for a bit of a scrap there, trying to find Paris, and that's why Nog commits that blink there. As, you know, as well as the stun, just trying to find Paris in that moment, and it doesn't really get him even the beads. So Paris able to play very safe here in the mid lane alongside his jungler and Sunprod. And so Skogs, yeah, they get the early first blood. Yeah, they're sitting in a good position overall, but they're actually looking for more here on this purple invade.
A great purple invade as Nog walks over, but
stun.
gets stunned from the paralyzing spit. Bad news, getting slowed down by Ghastly Breath, but Sunprod hops over the dual lane and goes straight for Nog, but turning things around, Tempo's able to grab a couple basics and nail a kill. Sunprod is dead, and Food Fighters dual lane continuing to walk forward. Tempo and Tuba very low, but Tempo is dead. Nog and Tuba hiding under the tower and barely securing their own purple buff. The invade didn't work their way. As a matter of fact, they lost 2. That was crazy.
I mean, I feel like Tempo's, yeah, 1-for-1. Tempo's actually really happy with that play because Sunprod commits the jump there, and then both of Tempo's carries and Nog and Tuba are able to walk away to safety. He only trades his own life there. And so that's just a nice little play there where he's able to stop the pressure that Sunprod is looking to provide here on the side lanes. At the very least, Sunprod's back on the map already trying to farm it out and doesn't really fall too far behind to Nog. Thankfully, Nog was also there in that fight, but all the while, a small experience lead is being given here to Chang'e Best, who didn't rotate while Paris did.
Oh no, teleporting straight towards Sunprod. Somersault forward, and the meteor shower's thrown down. Fear no evil in response. Nog gets the kill. Sunprod is dead. Rotating over, Kaveka looking for revenge. A great root from one. Paris is able to get the kill. Nog is dead. Eye for an eye. Mid laners here, but look at Tempo just showed up. A great wall followed by Shards of Ice does massive damage. Down goes Kaveka. Tuba gets the kill, but Paris with a massive golden apple snipe. Stygian Torment brings up 2. Dual lane thrown into the air. Tempo in trouble. Chang'e the same. But Tempo's able to use the ice wall to rocket jump their way out of there. Chang'e able to do the same. Escape from the other side of the jungle. Wow, what a crazy transaction. This is a very aggressive early game.
Yeah, 2 for 2 at the end of the day as John Rowing pressuring out Timer on the right-hand side here. Has him in execute threshold, but doesn't really go for that commit. It's kind of hard because Timer has picked up the Aegis here on the RDO just to avoid that execute. And that's a nice little look there for Timer. But yeah, unfortunate there for Sunprod yet again, just losing out that 1v1. And that's a little bit of overconfidence, I feel like, for Sunprod there. Tries to take that 1v1, but doesn't come out on top. Nog just has access to that ultimate. Got the better initial trade before he goes for the all-in. And already Sunprod off to a pretty rough start this game. 0-2-1 so far on the Hui Yi.
Yeah, and Sunprod's used to having the upper hand. We know Sunprod to get active very early. Let's get a kill or 2 under our belts, grab our first tier 3 item early, and then control Firebrands from there. I mean, 80% of games that we watch from Sunprod go down exactly like that. This is a bit off. This is a bit weird. This is not game plan for Sunprod and the rest of Food Fighters. Now they have to change up their play style just a little bit. But if Sunprod's not going to be the hyper carry, are we looking at Paris? Is that our main character for today, for the game at least?
I mean, Paris is sitting in a pretty good position himself. I mean, 2-0-1 on the Discordia. you're pretty happy if you're Paris right now because you just have the damage. You have some CC set up as well. Kaveka getting involved in some of these early scraps is helpful for them. They're sitting in a pretty good spot on the Jingwei, working towards the Devourer's Gauntlet, but still has to get in a good position where they can start to be really impactful on the Jingwei. We saw Zapman pilot this character the other day and go towards this Devourer's Gauntlet, Wind Demon, Deathbringer build. And once they had those 3 items, they started to get involved in team fights and in little scraps here and there. So for now, they just have to take their time, slow the pace down, allow Kaveka to start to farm out that build, and then start to make plays on the map. Look for these early Gold Furies and objectives. Sunprod, I think, just needs to slow down. Nog is on a timer. Every time he's team fighting, he's got his ultimate. Maybe punishing Nog when he doesn't have his ultimate is the play here. That's kind of your window of opportunity you're looking for plays.
As we do have a technical difficulty to work through, but we'll get back to you in just a moment on what is going on. But yeah, I mean, it's a little different than what we're used to as far as the game plan for Food Fighters. Paris doing a great job of kind of upholding things, right? Because we talked a lot about momentum from yesterday, how Sunprod was on fire yesterday. Things look great, and Sunprod might have flew a little bit too close to the sun and got his wings burned a little bit in this game, at least. Last game, it was great, but this game, a little, a little too hot. That's a-okay. Paris will help them carry through the mid game because that's how you talked about last game, is that Sunprod kept Paris afloat in the middle, and then Paris kind of finished it off with a crap ton of player damage. Maybe they can kind of switch roles this game, you think. Paris could, help out with the ganks. You get Gem of Focus. You move around a little bit with the pathfinding buff, help out with rotations, show presence on the map, and then let Sunprod get fed up and really show this Hu Yi can do as we get later on in the game, because you know better than anybody else, this Hu Yi can scale.
Yeah, and I think that is the idea behind this composition. I mean, you have the Jingwei, you have the Hu Yi, you have so much objective burn. If Paris can do a lot of the heavy lifting for this Food Fighters team in this early game, they can sit in a pretty good position going into the mid game and late game, especially around objectives. Their shred potential, especially once the Jingwei gets a little bit of crit online, will be massive. They can just 100-0 that Fire Giant so quickly, and then look for team fights afterwards, because they don't have to commit any big scary ultimates to confirm those objectives.
Going in, throwing the 3, try and maybe steal the brands. I think that Nog just got 1 off the 3. I'll tell you what, though, one thing that I just thought about, I know that Sunprod's not old enough to go to the bars, but hopefully he's got a pool table at home, because we're looking at angles on the side of Food Fighters. With the golden apple bounce and Sunprod's arrows, you need to hit these walls correctly, navigate the angles, use geometry, right? Geometry is the name of the game for Food Fighters.
But Sunprod is young enough to probably be in school for geometry. Oh, hold that. All the damage here onto Kaveka.
Oh no, bad news. Kaveka's in trouble, down to 10 health. The snipe was blocked. But we're going in the chariot. Can it work? But the ult forced away. Kaveka hits into the air. Where will Kaveka land? But landing back down. Can Tuba clean it up? A massive landing off the chariot. What a crazy turn of events, but look who just showed up. Paralyzing Spit just took Nog for a ride, and Stygian Torment to follow through. Sunprod's going to throw the arrow out and follow up with a bit of damage of their own. Dead Nog. Kaveka just now respawned and floating back to duo lane, but I think by that point, Tuba will be out there.
Yeah, great turnaround there between Sunprod and Hostile Puppy to punish Nog, and I just don't understand why Nog is necessarily there. I get he's there to support his duo lane in that moment, but the play was made. They got the dive successfully. Just walk away. But we've seen that combo now come to fruition where it's, Stygian Torment from the Cerberus into the Suns from Sunprod. All that damage in such a small quarter, and you're keeping them locked in place where they can't really get away because of this blink pickup from Nog. So this Hanbots has to pay respect to the CC lockdown potential from the Food Fighters.
8 minutes into the game, fighting over the mid lane beacon. Just now showing up is Tempo and Chang'e with Nog around the corner. So Djungelskogs have the man advantage here in mid lane. Throwing out abilities. Paris trying to zone them off of the beacon. So maybe Food Fighters can get this ritual, but I don't think it's going to work out that way. Not with Nog around the corner. Look who just showed up. Hostile Puppy there to back up Food Fighters. So 3-on-3. Will the fight unfold from here? But looks like Tempo's pressed up a little bit too far. Ice Ball, though. Fear no Evil in response. A fight's going down. And Chang'e looking for a snipe. Who can they get? A good bit of damage thrown on to Hostile Puppy. Paris dead, though. Nog gets the kill. And Tempo extremely low. But look who just showed up. John Rowing there with a nasty fatal strike. And looking for more, quite possibly. Chang'e gets thrown down. Double kill for John Rowing. And Nog looking to fight their way out of this. But oh no, Duel just showed up off the chariot. Down goes Nog, but Tuba there to fight. Stygian Torment takes 2 up, and Timer in big trouble, but going for Sunprod before they fall. But maybe Timer doesn't fall. Maybe Timer escapes. The Bear Dash will get you out of there in quick time. Sunprod just died, and it just turned entirely around on its head thanks to the ult from Tuba.
Yeah, it's a bloodbath over by the Fire Giant pit. At the very least, Firebrand's going to go the way of the Food Fighters. That's kind of what that fight was all about outside of the Moonlight Ritual in mid. So something, at least at the end of the day, going to the Food Fighters after all those deaths. But it's a 3-for-3 at the end of the day, so that's kind of a wash. So that's the only real win is the Firebrands for the Food Fighters. And they end up getting the Moonlight Ritual as well. So yeah, if you're Food Fighters, you're happy with that trade, but everyone rotating to that fight around that Fire Giant tells you that both these teams, they're happy and looking to scrap as much as possible and look for these small angles, these windows of opportunity to get themselves in this game. Tuba doing a great job of making sure he's there on time as Kaveka's arriving for the team fight, because this Jingwei can rotate with the help of that passive. A great play there in response from Tuba, but it needs to be a little bit better. More clean victories here need to come through for the Skogs.
10 minutes into the game, 8-7 are the kills, and a minute gold lead, but look who just threw an arrow over, and 2 from Djungelskogs going towards mid lane, left side, right side of the map. Nog went under the tower, but couldn't get enough damage to kill John Rowing. That's fine. John Rowing goes back to base, but meanwhile on the left side of the map, look at Sunprod, who just showed up with a nasty double bounce. Tuba is dead. Maybe next on the chopping block. Tempo looking to juke their way out of this, but there's nowhere left for you to run. Double kill for Sunprod. Food Fighters could get this Gold Fury. Nog's the only one around, and Chang'e is way too far on the other side of the map.
Prod just barrel stuffs Tuba with the ricochet. Nice play there. And Gold Fury, the first one of the game, will go the way of the Food Fighters off of a fantastic gank there on the left-hand side. They sent everyone outside of John Rowing because John's in the right getting ganked. A lovely play there from the Food Fighters. You show up in right, we'll go to the left-hand side, make a play. And speaking of making a play, Noggin left looking for the Jingwei.
Oh no, the chariot followed by the Fear No Evil forces beads away, but still kills Kaveka. Stygian Torment takes one under the tower, but that's fine. Tuba's got a dash. You don't get anything out of that. Just a free kill. Kaveka's life is ours.
Nice play there. Good response from Nog. So something going the way of the Skogs, and Tuba is in a pretty good position on this Apollo, doing very well despite his team losing out on some kills, some plays here and there. I feel like Tuba's done a very good job on this left-hand side, and they're looking for this dive here.
Oh my goodness, Nog gets another kill. Hostile Puppy dead. Kaveka just got back and now getting an arrow from Chong all the way on the right side of the map. Sunprod goes in mid lane and takes down Tempo. A lot of kills unfolding everywhere. Hostile Puppy, Kaveka dead, same as Tempo and Tuba. What is going on?
It's just so much brawling. Nog getting the better end of things at the end of the day. 3-3 and 5 now on the bot, sitting in a good position. And Tuba as well, happy to keep that dive going onto Kaveka once he shows back to lane because of the ult from Chunga Best. A great play from the Skogs in response to this early aggression from the Food Fighters. At the very least, they do manage to take down Tempo in the mid lane off of a fantastic Sun wall from Sunprod's ultimate to stop the Ymir from dashing away with the help of his own wall. A lovely play there, but Skogs responding well. They just need to find something to convert it into an actual lead.
11. It's been a wild ride here, Book. This has been a great... Look how many kills there are in this, what, like 12, 13-minute game? 11-11? What is this, arena? This is nuts.
Yeah, this is a very close game, I feel like, and just so much action as damage over the wall. Sunprod has to play defensively there. His left-hand side, Kaveka taking a 1v1.
Oh, no, that's not a 1v1. Look at Nog. Nog's here. Jingwei ult forced out, and Kaveka in deep trouble. Kaveka is dead. Nogs looking to take the fight too. Hostile Puppy, Stygian Torment takes him up, but walking over the wall, but you run right into an ice wall. A great play there from Tempo. Leaves Hostile Puppy with nowhere to go. Shards of ice to slow them down. Hostile Puppy is dead. Golden apple damage does a little bit to Tempo, but another nasty ice wall will lock. Oh my goodness, Paris dead too. The ice walls from Tempo are holding Djungelskogs together. Do you see what's going on?
This is one of Tempo's best picks, and I got to imagine here, Sunprod on the run has to be careful, but he gets stunned in place. The ult will not save you here, Sunprod, or maybe it will.
Oh my God, the nasty overhead smash, but John Rowing with a kill of their own, just now showing up as Timer to help out, but Fatal Strike ready to go, and lands. Chang'e dead, double kill for Rowing, and Timer looking to scare them off, but Rowing's fine with taking this fight. We've got to use Fatal Strike, get our way out of here, and what can we get off of this? I mean, a lot of kills happening here, Book, but no objective play to follow, I guess. Firebrands?
I mean, it's got to be Firebrands. Pyromancer available, but no one to really DPS it. Instead, actually, John Rowing just heading to the right-hand side to clear out this wave, and he's just happy to get some pressure over here. Firebrands do despawn. That's why he doesn't commit to it, as that objective has despawned, and now Queen Naga's up in 17 seconds. I mean, Kaveka's in a pretty good spot. He can look to rotate over if he wants to, but look at this. Hostile Puppy looking for a potential dive avenue on the left-hand side.
Okay. They want to dive. I'm seeing what the vision is here, but trying to set it up is going to be a little bit harder than you might think. Queen Naga is up. Food Fighters have 2 on the left side. What's the play after?
I mean, Kaveka can back here and maybe head to this Queen Naga, and Tuba doesn't have to do that just yet. His ultimate's going to be up fairly soon. He can keep to this left-hand side, then ult to involve themselves and over to the right-hand side and look for that objective, but you can already see Sunprod, John Rowing on the way there, and so Kaveka's deciding. He's trying to decide, do I go for this objective or do I stay in left? Oh, that bounce nearly connecting on a Nog.
Whew, geez, you got to be careful now. You never know when Sunprod's got an angle. The triple bounce capability is just hard to predict. So hovering around the Queen Naga, Food Fighters begin to burn. Kaveka is the only one there that's not around. Djungelskogs have a couple members here, but no, Djungelskogs, yeah, you're right. They're going for gold. They're going to split the map, and I think that's the smartest move. Let's get Tempo out of here. We don't want you stealing this with Shards of Ice. We're going to kill you before you have a chance. Queen Naga does get taken down, goes the way of Food Fighters, but Djungelskogs still burning the gold. It finally just got taken away, and Nog's on the other side of the map. Nog's going for Kaveka?
Yeah, it looks like he was hunting Kaveka here, still looking for him. Fear no evil will connect, and Kaveka takes a spill.
Oh my goodness. You did not say Nog around the corner. That is just unfortunate. What can you do? Gold Fury goes to Djungelskogs. Queen Naga goes to the Food Fighters, and the mid lane beacon being fought over. Djungelskogs have control of it right now. Timer zoning away Hostile Puppy, and look who just showed up. It's Paris to do some damage.
John Rowing isn't here, and so there's not a lot the Food Fighters can do to contest this objective. Even Tuba is rotating on over here to the mid lane. No, hovering that left-hand side. He is available, though. No, actually, no ultimate here for Tuba. So kind of has to decide now. It doesn't matter, though. Skogs will win out on the Moonlight Ritual.
It's a pretty big play. I mean, I feel like over the Queen Naga, Gold Fury, and mid lane Ritual, I think Djungelskogs come out on top of that, don't you think?
Yeah, a little bit. It does matter, though, the fact that John Rowing is 4-0, has continued to farm this right-hand side, and actually could get another play here as Timer could get ganked.
Timer might be ganked here. Nog is up on the left side, though, and chasing away. No, the Meteor Shower. Look at Sunprod diving into tower. Hostile Puppies. Oh, no, Timer's here as well, and Timer's chasing away John Rowing. Sunprod still under the tower. The tower finally falls. Timer might get a kill, but Sunprod's barely able to jump over the wall. John Rowing, Timer still duking it out. Around the corners, Nog ready for Sunprod's landing. Djungelskogs are here in full force. Stygian Torment to counter Tuba, but in goes Nog straight into the back line. Look at the damage coming through. A massive ice wall does lock Paris in place, and Tuba there to clean it up. Down 2 members of Food Fighters. Djungelskogs are going for the burn on FG.
I mean, that dive just goes so wrong there for the food fighters. They try and decide, are we going to kill Timer here? Are we looking to take the tower? And no one could make a decision between Sunprod and John Rowing. And at the end of the day, they get the tower, but they lose Sunprod, who has to play for his life over the wall. Very poor tower aggro there between the two players, as Djungelskogs, their first Fire Giant of this series. And they're starting to gain a commanding lead here in this game number 2, looking to fight back into the series. At the very least, Kaveka will get this tier 2 tower. Actually, maybe not. Nog's on the way.
Nog is on the way, but John Rowing over here on the right side, 3-on-3. Sunprod not looking to fight though, but what's gonna happen on the left side? In goes Nog with the dagger in hand, just throws the dagger right into Kaveka's side. Down Kaveka goes. Another good kill for Nog, keeping them afloat.
This Jingwei just hasn't come to fruition here for the food fighters. I feel like too much scrapping here in the early game for Kaveka, and Kaveka is a scrapper in the ADC role, and that's fine, but make sure you're picking the picks to allow him to do that. Jingwei wants to sit on her hands for a bit, farm it out, get the important items, has those 4 items completed, but only 1 stack on this Rage, and almost no attack speed in the build. This Jingwei does not do the damage that you would like to see out of your ADC at this stage of the game.
Yeah, there's a bit of truth to that as Tuba takes down the mid lane tower. Look at Nog, nasty stun from overhead smash. Tempo looking for more from the Frost Breath, but didn't connect. That's A-OK. Food Fighters hiding under the tier 2 tower. John Rowing split pushing up right side of the map. Djungelskogs have 4 members on this tier 2 and make it 5. Nog just showed up, Obsidian Dagger in hand. Meteor Shower lands down from Sunprod. Does good damage onto Chang'e, but the only one that even suffered a bit of damage, Timer is A-OK still. Nog is full health. Same thing with Tempo and Tuba. Djungelskogs have a lot of the map to look at. They're going to walk towards Pyro.
Yeah, Gold Fury is also available. I'm kind of surprised that that's where the Skogs are looking, over to this right-hand side. While this Gold Fury is available, why not keep pushing your lead? Instead, it's only Nog over here. And with this double ADC shred comp that the food fighters have, there's not a lot Nog could do. Actually, Tuba's on the way, and he's brought the cavalry. They're looking for a pick.
Food Fighters got the Gold Fury, but they have to run right after. Nobody left for Djungelskogs to clean up. That's completely fine. That's exactly what Food Fighters wanted. A bit of extra gold and no consequence because of it. Kaveka staying over on the left side of the map to farm up a tad bit while Djungelskogs pushed up mid and did get that tier 2, which is a bit unfortunate, but you're going to have to lose it at some point, I feel like.
Yeah, at some point that up tower just has to go down. At the very least, Food Fighters do get the Gold Fury, and they do get the tier, or they don't even get the tier 2 on the left, actually. It stays up. Kaveka gets a bit more farm, though, for the Jingwei. So Food Fighters, they're down, but they're not out. And actually, you can see they're grouping as 4 here in the mid lane, looking for a potential pick here before the next objective spawns.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're looking to take somebody out, so the numbers game favors them, and that's when Food Fighters will really come out on top of a fight. They really are, because John Rowing's over there too, and John Rowing's had a hell of a good game, right? We talked great on MTR, but now they've got their main character, and John Rowing is putting on a clinic with this Achilles stick. So let's stick around John Rowing. Okay. Djungelskogs going for Gold Fury. They want their 3rd. Tier 2 just fell, but nobody's there. Oh, no. They've got 2 going back. Tempo Tuba just went back to base, and they're going to defend the bird. But 5 members from Food Fighters, can they take this down?
I mean, they have to be careful on the way out. You can see already Timer and Nog are looking for a flank avenue here. As you can see, Tempo going in, looking for Kaveka.
This could be a sandwich maneuver. Look at Nog over the wall. This could be bad news. Kaveka's in trouble. Down goes Kaveka. Down goes Puppy. Tuba just pinched him off. That is a massive play from Djungelskogs. Way to breathe the map, and Nog chasing after another. John Rowing is just so tanky, though. Fear no evil. In response, we need to kill John Rowing more than anything. But Nog, you cannot handle Rowing on your own. Maybe we pinch off Paris here. Locked into a rock in a hard place. Paris is dead. Tuba gets the kill. 3 dead for Food Fighters. What can Djungelskogs get off of this? That Fire Giant's up, but I don't think they can just go grab it, can they?
I think the Skogs can once they group up. Instead, I think they're happy to use this power play, though, with some members off the table and keep taking some towers, because they didn't get a whole lot of gold off of their Fire Giant power play. But I mean, Food Fighters, I like the play. Force Skogs to have to respond and defend their Phoenix and threaten it at the very least. But as soon as the members start to back up, you have to leave together as 5. If the team fight breaks out, you're fighting as 5. Too many members split off in all sorts of different directions. Kaveka goes over the wall to try and play his life off a great flank from Timer and Nog, wrapping around the backhand side from mid and enemy jungle on the right side. A great flank pinches him. Sunprod leaves, goes off nowhere to get himself and keep himself alive. Paris gets caught, obviously, at the tail end. It's just unfortunate there that Food Fighters split up so much off of what I thought was a great macro play from them initially.
23 minutes into the game, about to be 24. Djungelskogs have a 6K goal lead. Food Fighters are down 8 kills. I mean, this does not look great for Food Fighters. They still are playing very confidently. They know they can win fights under the right circumstances, but Djungelskogs have a bit more of a lead than it even shows in itemization here.
Yeah, they are. They're probably sitting on a fair bit of gold as an experience as well. I mean, level 20 is starting to come through here for their members. Starter items starting to be upgraded here for the Skogs, while some starters starting to get worked on here by the Food Fighters at the very least. John Rowing at the very least has his starter item upgraded on this Achilles. And look, John Rowing's had a fairly quiet game. 4-0-2, maybe not the most quiet score line, but I feel like hasn't been the most involved solo laner, has kind of been on the outskirts, while Timer's been running at the back line pretty consistently and in the faces of the Food Fighter carries. Feels like John Rowing's having a hard time getting to the back line. Now he's getting isolated.
Wait, where are we going? Okay, so Tuba's taking one for a ride, but where are they going to land at? Who's their target? What's the play with this chariot? Just trying to scare Food Fighters out. Still in the air. We're draining mana. What's going on here? You got to get out.
They do get out, and there is a blue buff that Tuba can pick up if he needs it. I mean, I imagine he will. No, instead he won't. I feel like that's a bit of a misplay. Give Tuba some mana back. He's got none of it. And now Food Fighters, they're kind of in the area, and they might feel confident enough to pull this objective, and they will.
I think they are. Yes, they are. Fire Giant Burn begins from Food Fighters. Chang'e is barely getting out of base. And, I mean, Timer's here to try and zone. Ice Ball to fall through, but Stygian Torment takes 2 up. Paris has damage. Look at the damage from Paris, but fear no evil. In response, Nog goes over the wall, very low on health, as Rowing runs straight at Timer, looking for an Xe, but it's all right. Sunprod's got it. Timer's dead. Tempo extremely low, and Chang'e needs to run. Rowing on the chase. Combat dodge forward, but a nasty Spirit Arrow does good damage, but it won't save your life. Prod gets a double. Kaveka kills Nog. A great play there, but whoa, what's going on? No, they stole it. Djungelskogs just stole Fire Giant. No way. They left FG. Tuba gets the kill on Sunprod. Rowing's in trouble. The fight's still going down. Hostile Puppy over the wall takes down Tuba. And Tempo, the only one left alive. Rowing still has Fatal Strike ready. If you can hit the Xe, that's a deicide. But Food Fighters, they surely can't end off this, can they?
No minions, and you can see Timer's up in 10 seconds. Nog with the hero steal there, away from the carries of the Food Fighters. What a play. He gives his life, and Tuba, with an answer back before he dies, takes down Sunprod. I mean, Food Fighters, that was a huge tempo play that gets stunted. They do obviously take the tier 2 in mid, as we just saw, and they'll get the Gold Fury. But the Food Fighters, it could have been so much more just a moment ago. Instead, they're kind of having to sit back and keep farming out, look for the gold. They can't look for a crazy siege now.
Okay, so Ancient Fury getting taken down. I guess that's a decent constellation prize, a silver medal, if you will. But FG being lost, that has got to boom a few members of Food Fighters, I'd imagine. That's got to be, I mean, yeah, they got a lot of kills, but they lost some souls as well. It's a hard situation to come back from mentally, right? I mean, yeah, Food Fighters are getting up in gold. They're catching up to Djungelskogs. They're doing pretty well. That's their 3rd Gold Fury. The pips are in their favor. Weakened birds across the board. Food Fighters need one good fight, and they've won, but they're having a hard time winning fights as it is. They came out on top as far as kills in the last one, but that was a bit of a sloppy Fire Giant play.
I mean, it looked so good for so long, and then it started out so well between Hostile Puppy and Paris. You know, the Stygian Torment into all that Discordia madness damage as well was so good to start out the fight. Wasn't enough to get any major kills, but still just a lot of damage in a condensed AoE corridor. And already we're looking for another fight here. Great ult by Sunprod, but the Stampede a little bit better.
Nasty Meteor from Sunprod, but Tempo had a massive tool there to utilize to get Djungelskogs out of harm's way. But with Fire Giant down, Ancient Fury as well, not a lot of objective to look at. The Moonlight phase won't be around for a minute. Food Fighters have nothing to do but to fight. The dagger's been popped, but I mean, I don't know what the engage is here.
I think you just have to wait now as see Tempo is the target. And this Ymir can be vulnerable with no Stampede available. Does have Cersei's though, so some more escapability on the immobile support player of Tempo. But these Ymir walls, man, have been so impactful in fights, stopping the likes of Food Fighters from fully engaging and following up of the Stygian Torments. It's been a great job here for the Skogs, and a big part of it is the fact that this is one of Tempo's, if not Tempo's, best character overall. And he looks so comfortable with these Ymir walls so far, and finally, Skogs are going to utilize this Fire Giant on one member to push out this left-hand side, maybe look for the tier 2 tower, and they have a way to escape with the help of the Apollo ultimate. Kind of surprised we haven't seen a major crazy drop ship just yet from the Apollo ultimate. Drop in, you know, the likes of Nog, Tempo to the backline, maybe just dump their ultimates, but in moments like that, Tuba's been a big part of their team fights, so probably Tuba will give his life if they go for a crazy play like that, and that's why they haven't gone for it.
And Djungelskogs on the left side of the map are walking up. All 5 members. Nog's playing catch up just a tad, a little bit behind the crew. But look at where we're at here, Book. It is neck and neck gold wise. A 500 gold difference between these two teams at 30 minutes into the game. This is anyone's game at this point. There's no lead to be had. Yeah, there's a couple different objective differences, Queen Naga, the Gold Fury pips, but as far as these fights go, 5 for 5, it is anyone's game.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think for both teams, you're kind of trying to find, speaking of, I was about to say, you're trying to find a pick, a stray random pick like that, and that's exactly what happens. Kaveka catches Changa Best just snoozing in the mid lane, and with this build online, finally online, the Demon Blade and the Hydra's Lament online for Jingwei, Kaveka is one-shotting carries at this stage.
Wait. What are Food Fighters doing? They're hiding in a bush. They're looking for another pick.
They know. This is what they need.
Is going to play bait.
Yeah, this is what they need. They need another full-on pick before the Fire Giant spawns, and that's why they're pushed up so far. But actually, they decide to focus on getting control of the Fire Giant pit first. Maybe they thought Skogs were going to give it completely. Instead, they're just ripping it on spawn and looking to burn it fast.
John Rowing just showed up. It's 5-on-4. Food Fighters have the numbers advantage, and they're burning on the Fire Giant, but you can't let this one slip through your fingers. Food Fighters need this Fire Giant to win the game. Djungelskogs around, though, but into the pit are 2 members, Timer and Tempo, in the pit with the FG. Who's going to take it away? Food Fighters got the FG. Food Fighters got FG. Kaveka's got dagger in hand. Kaveka just melted down Timer and killed Nog in cold blood as well. Sunprod did fall in the process. Tempo barely made it back to base. Djungelskogs lost 2. Food Fighters lost 1, but the Fire Giant goes their way, and massive buffs to bring them forward. Can they end the game off this with another runic bomb in pocket? The odds aren't too low.
Yeah, and those Phoenixes are still weakened here, Mort. Skogs have to play the ultimate defense. Changa Best could get caught. The blink to keep themselves alive.
Oh, no. The ice wall blocks them off. Djungelskogs doing everything they can. What's the next move? What can they do? Food Fighters just got the middle bird. It has fallen. Djungelskogs have to watch, but trying to block the left side bird through the ice wall. Kind of funny to watch, but still, it's not going to stop them from getting their target. Walking forward, Golden Apple snipe lands through. Maybe we can kill Tempo before we end the game, but looks like we'll settle for just 2 birds.
I mean, you can back off here, though maybe Food Fighters, no, they'll send members back to base and likely go towards this Gold Fury, as Tuba knows with members backing, this is their best opportunity to find a pick. He's got 2 members with him.
Wait, we just dropship onto somebody? Can this work? Will this go down? The numbers game favors them, but Stygian Torment knocks up 3. Shards of Ice to
No
lock them
damage
down.
yet.
But wait. Where's the rest of Food Fighters? But Shards of Ice to follow. Meteor Shower down. Kaveka kills one. Down goes Tuba and Tempo. Sunprod's around the corner.
That'll do
Kaveka
it.
with a double kill. Change's dead. Food Fighters are hitting the gas pedal.
I mean, just no damage to follow up. Nog trying to keep themselves alive. Stunned in place. Hostile Puppy with that one. And Food Fighters, they're going to take the series 2-0.
And this is game. Congratulations, Food Fighters. It might have been a rough battle for quite some time, but you put on a hell of a show. A 2-0 sweep for Food Fighters.
I mean, what a performance there. It took so long for the Food Fighters to get to a point where they could outright win team fights, win the game. I mean, Kaveka had to spend a lot of time farming, but they got there in the end. Paris, I said, had to do a lot of heavy lifting. Those Discordia Madnesses, the ones as well, doing tons of damage in AoE corridors. Really good game from them. Sunprod honestly taking the back foot of things, I feel like, that game, and kind of sitting in the backpack. John Rowing doing a ton of frontlining. Kaveka, tons of damage in the late game. Hostile Puppy, huge shout outs to them. Multiple 2-3-man ultimates with the Cerberus, I feel like, was a big part of their engage.
Yeah, the Stygian Torment was so good. It was so good throughout the game. And time after time, there was no counterplay from Timer, Tempo, Tuba. They had no response to those knockups, and it hurt their team fight potential so much. The knockups and the damage. Kaveka, Sunprod got online eventually. Kaveka got really online, and Paris just holding things together. You've got a front line like Rowing and Puppy. It's hard to face up against that team.
Yeah, I mean, look at the player damage. Paris at the top of it for their team, doing a good job here this game. Slowly but surely, whittling down members and their health bars, hitting the CC when they need to. The apples as well were pretty on point from Paris. A really good game 2 from them, I feel like. And even a game 1 performance as well for Paris was pretty impactful. I'm really impressed with the trajectory of this Food Fighters team. But I feel like there is some things that they have to work on. A couple of misplays there that they could be a little cleaner on, but overall a big success. You got the points at the end of the day, maximum points though as well, because it's a 2-0, and we are getting closer and closer as the weeks go on towards playoffs.
Well, unfortunately, Smite 2 fans, that's all we've got for you today. But if you want to see more action like this, we'll be right here on the Smite Game Twitch every Sunday at 3 p.m. EST for the foreseeable future. So we'll see you next week right here. For those of you at home, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Rosie and everybody else at OSL for making this possible. Thank you to Book for joining me here in the booth. And most importantly, thank you to every single viewer who tuned in for this broadcast, because it was a hell of a show to be a part of. We'll see you next week, and take it easy, gamers. Thanks, y'all.
Go! No shortcuts, no safety net. Every step earned in sweat.